school, there's some dead zones, or some of our stacks run below level, and it's acceptable to the students. I mean, most of the areas, most of the classrooms, they can just go sit down and they'll get it, or in the atrium or cafeteria, it's pretty wide open. We also have several smart technology classrooms, some quite huge, all of which are wired. They're similar to these classrooms with the plugins and the network access. Most of them also have the wired access, so if there's extra students just sitting around, or if there's like a conference in the room, you'll be able, if you're not able to plug in, you'll still have wireless access. There's several rooms also in the library, which are study rooms for small groups of students, which also have network connections for students, and as I stated, most of the library is covered by the wireless stations. Or each student, as on the incoming of this student year, is provided with a unique account. To access our network without this username and password, all they can do is surf the net. They're not allowed to print. They're not allowed access to standard applications which is provided. We've done this to keep a secure environment within our law school from other students coming over, since our law school is also joined with the undergrads, and when you hear free printing, everybody seems to rush, and we kind of limited that situation too. With the network accounts that's provided at the starting of each school year, they're provided with a certain amount of space on our network to store over the next 3 years. It's 50 megs of storage space, and they have access to standard applications. Some students may come in with their personal laptops, as I said, to plug into the network, and while signing on to our computer or network, they may have WordPerfect, but they may not have Word, and some professors only specifically use Word, or they specifically use WordPerfect, that they have to hand in their stuff or the demands to have that in it, and the students are allowed to use these applications once signed on to the network. It's all available to them. They're also provided with printing accounts, which gives them 1,500 free printed pages per year. Each additional page is 5 cents per page. We've worked it out. It was a long, tedious time, and we've realized that that's the amount that's perfect for our students. And it's sort of like a hassle-free printing environment. We've moved our printers out of the computer labs and specific areas in the library, and we've spread them throughout the library. We have 3 main printers on the main level of the computer lab and the library. We have 2 on the main level and the entrance of the library, and we have 1 in the cafeteria. So in total, we have 6 network printers. At any time, these students can choose to print from either their laptops, the computer labs, wireless printing, and it goes to a specific spool print network, and it stays there on the network until 48 hours. They can go to class, come back, and they can choose any of these 6 printers to go and release their jobs from. So they can be in the computer lab, send the print job, go to class, come back, and head to the cafeteria, get their food, sit down, and decide to print then and read. It'll still be there. It's available until 48 hours, and that's when it's wiped off. We also have email accounts, and the best part of our email accounts is unlimited space. It's a Lotus Notes web-based email, and we encourage the students to use that. Specifically at orientation for incoming students, we tell them that this is the only email that we will provide to faculty, to the staff, to student affairs, whomever it is that may be contacting you through Fordham Law. You may have another email that you're coming in with. Most students, we've had the problems, I know, that they don't use their university-provided email. They're like their Yahoo or their AOL, but we're specific on it. We say, this is what we're going to contact you on, and you must check it. There's proof that we're sending it to you. Every student has it. If you don't check it and you miss a situation or specific exams or notifications from your faculty or staff, that's your responsibility. Now, it's also up to the professors, if they so choose, to take a student's alternate email, but we do not encourage it. We encourage the students to specifically use their Fordham email, and it's unlimited. It can be accessed from the web, and you can store any amount of files on it, and it's for 3 years, and they don't bother you. They don't connect you and say, oh, well, your account is getting full, you have to remove it. We've recently started using Citrix over the year, and Citrix is basically a secure virtual access to a secure network for standard applications from different work scenarios. Basically, this is our main connection that we've been using it's connecting to a main server from like any workstations, and it's our main connection to our network. We've been using Citrix through our computer lab simply because it's standardized to the students. It gives them their applications, and it makes them use their accounts that's provided. This account is all standardized, so when they're provided with their email account, we use that email account to create their printing account, their network accounts. It's all one standard username and password for the time that they're there. Everything is one unique username and password. They're not allowed to change it. If they do happen to lose it, we'll refresh it and we'll change it for them so they'll have something new. But we encourage them to use that because in the past we've noticed it with data loss and with students forgetting to save or backing up their files. With them using the account to sign on in the computer labs or using their wireless laptops or their network connections on their personal laptops, once they're signed on through a Citrix session, it automatically maps them to their network drive. Everything is set up so that it automatically saves 5 to 6 minutes, and there's unlimited loss of any data at any time. The personal laptops are also connected to the Citrix, the email stations, and we include our future plans for this summer. We're going to move all our journals and organizations, which are currently just standalone PCs connected to the network, using the Citrix sessions also. How has Citrix helped us? Basically, I can say tremendously, because 1 month of our main problem was the students were signing on to the computers, yes, with an account, but they had access to their floppy drives and the local drive, and most of them currently, they're so tied up with the studying and they're doing their works, they constantly forget to save, and it's like, oh my God, I brought this in and it's not there. With them using their accounts through Citrix, it automatically maps them to their network drive. It automatically starts saving. There's a temp file created in their network drive once they're starting a word processing document. Stuff.
What configuration do you have on your network? Meaning, what kind of operating system do you use?
We're getting ready to port over to using Windows Active Directory 2000, but for now we're Windows
NT.
Just thinking how that's different than that.
It's very different. It's very different to administrate. It's a lot. It has less integration issues. Microsoft is most applications are developed around Microsoft as opposed to.
Do you use Zenworks to have them log in dynamically with roaming profiles? They must it dynamically creates an account on their H drive so that they know. But we have a problem that they don't say.
Well, we've set up all the word processing and everything. You can go in and specifically set the options on the servers. Like for saving time, it automatically starts 5 minutes after. And we've posted it everywhere in the student, like in the lab. Like that's our main thing. Like our students know, you don't save, you don't got it. Like that's our main thing in our library. It's like save. We can't save for you all the time.
Will the system save?
With the Citrix system, it's set up in a way that you can manipulate everything. It's set up that they save. It's backed up. Most of their word processing is set. Like WordPerfect and Word comes with the options of setting an automated time, 5 minutes, every 5 minutes. We've noticed that we've not had any big issues. Sometimes we do have some where the students work off their floppy disk, but it does not automatically. Sometimes we encourage them to save. When our students have been pretty much.
We do, but they'll work in a lab and then they'll go outside and have a cigarette and not even save their work and then come back and there's nothing there.
That's one thing we. Well, we've set up our processes where it states simply, it's always in our procedures, in our network manuals, in our orientation. Once you leave that lab, and the computer is not active for 5 to 10 minutes, 10 minutes, it shuts down, and it shuts off it disconnects your network connection. because we have limited resources. They know we have limited resources. I mean, this is the only way we could have said, you know, if it was let to be open, students would come in, sign on, and be there all day, but they would not be there to just have a book and, you know, come and spend 5 minutes, and we couldn't have that encouragement to have them have an open gateway all the time. Well, with Citrix, you can limit, if it's 10 minutes, it disconnects it, but it has it up there for 30 minutes. It holds their work for 30 minutes. 30 minutes, within that 30 minutes time, they do not log back onto their accounts, it disconnects the connection. Within a 10-minute frame, it just releases the computer for another user to come, but it keeps their account active. It eliminated our problem with limited resources. Now with using Citrix, we didn't have to sit with each student and have to configure their laptops to get to our network. Once the internet connection was available, they would go to our web-based and they would launch a Citrix. It looks like a little window that comes up. It looks like a mini computer that comes back up in your computer. They logged on like they were logging onto the computer lab. It was a virtual computer lab provided to them. It's a Citrix session running in the background. They can have this way, it eliminated the middle person of, okay, I'm saving to my laptop, transfer to a floppy, take it to the computer lab, transfer to the network. Once they logged on to the network using the Citrix session on the web, they were able to map to their personal drives on their laptops and also their network drives. The email stations that we currently have in the law school, in our law school library, if there's a limited amount in the computer lab to use, the students know exactly, like I'm saying, it only runs Internet Explorer to access email, but through Internet Explorer they can go to our virtual web computer lab page and launch a computer lab session, and they can sit there and work as if they were in the computer lab at any time. It's less chaotic in the lab since we've launched Citrix. Most of the students use your laptops. There's like hardly, it's been quite a long time that I've actually seen like all the computers in the lab used at the same time, or specifically any like someone standing outside waiting for a computer. Do we recommend it? Yes, we do. With little or no supervision at all. Once they plug in, most of these computers now, they come in, they take their network cable, they plug in, internet connection is available, they open up the web page, they go to the virtual computer lab, use their accounts, they sign on, and they get everything that's available to them in the computer lab. They can print from that, like I said, go to any printer and release their print jobs at any time, and that's what they wanted. I mean, at the starting of each year, the students were coming in, and it was getting to the point where we had to configure each laptop. And this is, our student body comes in every year, and if it's 300 students in the orientation, I say, at first I remember saying, oh, you know, for students who with laptops, could you raise your hand? There'd be, you know, half the room would raise their hand. Now I just say, students who are not here with laptops, could you please stand up? And you'll see 1, 2, now everybody else is sitting. So that's eliminated a lot of our resource problems. And they had little or no, I mean, you just tell them it's there, you go to the web page, we give them the web page, they go to it, and it's simple. Just click on it, it's launched, and if they have any problems, which it's rarely have any, it's lowered our costs with purchasing workstations since we were worried about our resources, our software, and it's lowered our costs with labor. Prior to having our Citrix running in the lab, we had a lab monitor which assisted the students of logging on, showing them how to save, constantly having to remind them, you know, this is how you point to your network drive. With Citrix, it eliminated that. They went in, they can surf the net normally without signing on, or they can choose to sign on and use everything that's available to them through the network. This way, we didn't have someone constantly monitoring them in there. We moved our lab monitors out into our help desk area, which eliminated the problems of having someone there constantly, cut down our cost with having extra workers on hand. But we're open, as Jennifer said, 7 days a week for student services from 8:30 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. We're on call. So they know how to get in contact with us too.
Do you have a network or a notebook policy or any recommendations that's made before the students?
They usually call up and say which we prefer, but we tell them it's not really anything to prefer. Once it, with their Macs or their PCs. If once it has an internet connection, it works fine. Citrix also provides the free client download, so they can go if they don't want to use it directly by the web. We provide the standard IP, which connects them to it's a sharing. It's Citrix sharing for them. It has 4 servers running all the sessions at the same time. So we provide them with the main IP, and they can download the client. It's easy to set up. Once they run it, they plug in the IP, and they can most of the students do it that way instead of just going to the web all the time. They actually install the client. It's like having a mini client on their computer, and it runs all the time. There's no issues with Mac or PCs.
I was just going to answer your other question. In terms of laptops, the university actually provides, through Dell and Compaq, they have contracts with both those vendors, and they provide the students with low-cost laptop configurations, and they'll tell them what are the models that are available and cost.
A lot of the first years who are coming in also already have their laptops, and they always call us, well, do I have to buy a new one? Because I just got this one last year, and it's usually no, because most of them are worried. Some of them, we've not had that problem much. Probably 1 or 2 would call, well, I have a Mac, do I have to change? It's not necessary. I mean, it's by choice. If you want a new laptop, you buy a new laptop, but that's it. With the technical assistance provided to the students, it's very limited. Well, what I mean by limited is that we provide technical assistance to all our computing stations, our computer lab, our email stations, our clinic lab, the journals and organizations, all the PCs that we use. We provide the basic troubleshooting, setup, networking to that extent. But when it comes to hardware issues, whether it's with PCs or printers, since we have student workers, we don't encourage them to have that. We have them report it by sending a ticket, an automated ticket to the user support services, and they have their consultants, their specific hardware consultants, look at that specific problem. We provide limited word processing difficulties with any word or word processing word perfect that they might have. Connection to the web, whether it's just basic setting up to the network, dial-up, or the wireless. The wireless is basically handled by Fordham University directly. It's not managed by Fordham Law School. We do, however, administer to students, this is how you set up. We provide them the information that the Fordham has sent to us. It's just basic handout, and they put in their information. The use of network accounts and email accounts, as I said earlier, it's standardized. Once your email account is created by Fordham directly, Fordham Law School then takes that email username and password and automatically generates it to their network accounts, their print accounts, career planning accounts, wherever it is that may need a username or password throughout their time at Fordham Law School. All their IDs are unique.
Do you have single sign-on?
No, we have multiple. They can do it.
We don't also because students are using a university email system, and then in addition to that, they're using our law school system. So there's 2 different environments. And we're not consolidated with the university. We have our own independent network.
You're asking for the computer lab and stuff, right? If they're signing on to the network.
We do right now have that same model, but the university itself is trying to consolidate in this notion of single sign-on
For VPN?
For law schools.
Yeah. The university also is doing that at Fordham. They're getting ready to push out a authentication system so that they can use a single sign-on for a virtual private network.
I don't know what it is it's coming from. No, the students with the signing on for networks, it's pretty much open. But with Citrix sessions, if they're logged on in the computer lab and they go on and they try to open the same documents, it gives them the notification, well, your document's open somewhere else. It's the same thing with our journals and organizations. However, we've created networks with our network drive accesses for our journals and organizations. It differs because some journals and their editors-in-chief and managing editor requires the full read and write access to their specific drive, while they give their editors and their staff only read access. So if there's any editing and changing, they're required to save a new document. We also assist them with the print managing As I said, there's 1,500 free pages per year. This time, I'll ask if you have any questions regarding to student services. Go ahead.
If I understand you correctly, the Citrix sessions eliminates the need for roaming profiles. Space requirements of the roaming profile.
No, they all have roaming profiles. They all do. But once the profile, they are not allowed to change anything. Once it's loaded, it loads a common profile. Once, if they make any changes, that's deleted after they log off.
So what about like their favorites and their cookies in that safe
Then-
corner? You don't want.
They get wiped out. We're not a...
Those don't get pushed to the laptops, though.
No,
That's you're talking just computer labs. That's
just the network, the
Also saved in the network, and then they get to be it.
afterwards.
Same kind of stuff.
So,
If they're using their laptops with their laptop connections, once it launches sort of like another computer face on top of it, which is it's a web based. It's within a web page. I mean, yes, you can have their favorites there, but once if they are launching Internet Explorer in that face, it doesn't have their favorites in the.
I thought each individual had their own storage space for email, unlimited space in email.
In their email.
Then you have a certain amount for that individual when they log on.
Well, that does not apply to their profile. That just applies to their work, their papers, or whatever research they may have.
It's just storage space for their private, for the user files. The Citrix piece of it is a layer, which is like a virtual desktop, and it's temporary. It's while you're using it that's active. Once it's released, and it goes back to being a concurrent user application. For the laptop, it doesn't copy any files to the laptop, so the student maintains the bookmarks that they may already have on their personal operating desktop, if that answers your question. The Citrix piece is just a virtual application in a desktop that kind of is a layer sitting over the user's laptop or in our workstations that we use in the student labs.
Yes, sir?
Do I understand that you have a separate account besides the regular institution? In other words, do you have a separate network outside of the work institution?
Are you referring to students?
Yeah.
And, yeah. The students' accounts are managed by, their Lotus Notes accounts are managed by the university. And
Their email accounts.
No.
Okay. Is the Citrix installed on your system?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
So they can be separate. They can be installed separate. Because we have the same problem.
Yeah.
Computer center controls all of the accounts.
The computer center for Fordham controls only their email accounts, basically. Everything else that I've told you about, their network accounts, their print accounts, their career planning, everything is managed by our Fordham Law School's network system.
So they have an account within the
Yes.
They have to have a network. Well, the network.
Yes, it's only applied right now to students.
User files. They're storing their user files on the network. They have storage space.
We try to test this in faculty with it, and that's an issue, because they have to dial in through the university to go through the university's firewall. But the biggest complaint is the slowness and the 56K dial-up that they have to use. They can't use the DSL cable at home. There's been some issues with that. We try to use that.
Are you using VPN?
I'm sorry?
Are you using VPN?
The university is planning on deploying it.
We're
Coming year.
VPN also with the university, but we're not there yet.
I'll hand it back over.